We're on the road for In Focus this week. We're talking with Marc Straub, who is a Douglas County Commissioner representing District
3.
District 3, which is mostly North County.
Mostly North County.
And some parts of East Wenatchee, too.
Some parts of East Wenatchee, yeah. Theoretically, the districts are about the same population, so in order to get that population, you got to have a piece of East Wenatchee. So.
Well, this is the first full week of 2020, and of course 2019 was eventful, certainly for you. It was your first term in office.
Yeah, it was kind of, people asked me how that first year was, and I kind of likened it to drinking from the fire hose. Incredible opportunity to learn a lot, which I did going into 2020, having quite a bit more knowledge.
Did you come into this position with any preconceived notions about how things went county?
I think so. I think anybody that suggests that they didn't would probably not be truthful. Yeah, I think, you always talk about moving at the pace of government. That's probably the biggest challenge for me was coming from the private sector and where you make business decisions and you act on those quickly, and government is for a reason doesn't operate that way, and there's a reason for that, but we certainly, all three of us are businessmen, and we like to operate expeditiously, but there are those processes that just don't go that way.
Well, normally you have control of your own business budget and your household budget, but when it comes to government, there are a lot of things that you have to pay for that you have no control over.
That is very true, Steve. It's, and that's one of the things that we're focused on is the unfunded mandates from the state, and there are a number of those that impact the county, impact our taxpayers, and we're very conservative, and everything that we do, we take a look through the lens of how will this benefit our citizens, and how do we maintain a fiscally conservative budget.
Of course, you've been working in the private sector, mostly in the housing industry.
Mm-hmm.
Home building is your profession.
Yeah.
I know that there might be some that would call you pro-growth or pro-development. Is that accurate?
I am pro-smart growth. I've always said if you're not growing, you're dying, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. However, that being said, it's very important that you be ahead of the growth curve, and that's what we strive to do here at the county, is making certain that we're focusing out there several years and making decisions that we believe will be best for our citizens, and making sure that we're making decisions that will keep the county viable and economically sound. And bringing family wage jobs here is certainly something that we strive to do, and the decisions that we make, and looking at how we can refine our processes here at the county and make them more efficient.
I'd like to talk a little bit more about economic development here in a few minutes, but first of all, you were talking about the financial health of Douglas County, and closing out 2019, it looks as though you had a fairly good year.
We did. Our carryover is very healthy, which we're certainly grateful for. That was primarily due to healthy construction, coincidentally, with some of the larger construction projects that we had. That certainly pays dividends for all of our taxpayers. That sales tax growth allows us to do things that if we didn't have it, we certainly couldn't do.
But that's not a reoccurring revenue.
It's not reoccurring revenue by any stretch, but it is. We'll take it while we have it, and it's certainly part of that. Again, going back to if you're not growing, you're dying. We want to continue to be healthy in that regard.
Well, I know that 2019 saw the construction of your new Law and Justice Center. Certainly, that contributed to the sales tax coffers.
Right. We're proud of that. For about an $8 million project, we built primarily out of reserves, and so we didn't carry a lot of debt on that. It's a great facility serving our law and justice, which, again, when you talk about growth, if you don't have secure environment, then you can't have great growth. You can't have quality of life. And so having safe communities is really important.
Looking forward to the new year. You got some challenges ahead of you, obviously.
We do. There's always doing more with less. We have, in this county, we have a tremendous amount of roads to maintain. And so there's always a challenge of how do we get the most bang for our buck, focusing on those farm to market roads, making sure that we're preserving our infrastructure as best we can with the limited resources that we have.
Even more limited now with the passage of I-976, apparently.
Yeah, that definitely does have some impact for us, but we really strive to make the decisions that affect the greatest number of people in a positive manner. And sometimes you just don't always get what you want. And there are a lot of things out there we would love to do, but we simply don't have the resources.
We're talking with Marc Straub, 3rd District Commissioner for Douglas County. And Mark, some changes coming here to your Transportation and Land Services building
Right.
with the retirement of Mark
Kulas.
Kulas, your
yeah.
Transportation and Land Services Director.
Yeah, Mark retired at the end of the year, had been with the county for, I want to say 23 years as our director. And so as we start out 2020, that it will be a large change for us. We're going through the process right now of finding his replacement. That's one of those very important positions that you want to make sure you get right. And so we are in that process currently. We really want somebody, striving to bring somebody in that sees our vision with regard to managing growth and making sure that the county is open for business and inviting economic development and inviting those opportunities for family wage jobs. That's important to the board, and that's kind of the lens that we're using as we go to replace this position.
Okay. Do you have an interim planner involved there as?
We actually are. Our administrator will be filling those shoes for the brief time that it takes to fill that position.
Jim Barkley?
Jim Barker will
Jim
be
Barker,
doing.
rather?
Yeah, will be doing that. So, in the interim, we don't expect Steve to have the position open long. We have some important things coming up in 2020, not least of which is the updating of our shoreline master plan, and so there's some other things that are really critical. So we want to get that person in place quickly, but we also want to make sure that we do a good job in finding that replacement.
One more topic I want you to comment on. There's definitely some new leadership on the east side.
Yeah.
Waterville has a new mayor. East Wenatchee has a new mayor as well.
Right.
How do you see the county going forward with the new mayors here?
One of the things that's important to the board is to be working with the towns and cities within the county, and that's something that is important for all three of us. We're excited about Geraldine. We think that given her experience in economic development and understanding business, and just the type of person, the leader that she is, we're excited for her and working with her in the coming months. We think that a new perspective and new leadership is always a good thing.
I know there's a lot of issues that are of mutual interest to the county and East Wenatchee, not least of which would be future annexations.
Sure. Yeah. It's we certainly know that there is an annexation in the works involving Southeast Third, which is known as Auto Row. Excuse me. And we certainly expect that. We will be in discussion with the mayor and the city council with regard to the timeline on that, and trying to make that as an amicable exchanges as possible. And we expect that. We're certainly looking forward to having those discussions.
Okay, very good. Again, anything else you'd like to close with? I'll give you the last word, Marc Straub.
We're just looking forward to another successful 2020, another successful year. We're amped up about serving the citizens. I've always said that this is a very humbling position to have, the opportunity to take the trust that the citizens place in you to make decisions that affect them. We take that seriously, and we're looking forward to another great year.
That's why they pay the big bucks. Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
I'm Steve Hare. This is In Focus on NCW Life.